Hello, everyone. We are the integrants of the group are Lopez David, Jason Mejia, Javier Ortiz, and Gaona Lucia. The first topic is evidence from speech errors. This topic, I can't stop my video, because I have some problems with my internet. Okay. In this part, I'm going to present some examples, and we can show is this set has a spring in it. This spring has a seat in it. This example show errors can provide rich information about to involve two words that have different syntax phrase. In this case, these are noun phrases that form the subject and the object in the sentence. The other example is they must be too tight for you, or you must be too tight for them. In this example, we see that the misplaced items, in this case both pronouns, have the grammatical marking that is appreciated to the functions they now have, not the functions they should have had. A simple misordering would have produced the errors you must be to and for they. And the other example shows stranding the plural marker s and the end of the phrase has no move with the rest of the word. The other example is on hot soldering iron, on soldering iron. Do not respect the grammatical class of the words they come from, and they most likely to affect words within the same syntax phrase, such as error occur at the more local level during the phrase by phrase assembly of the utterance. In this part, there are 4 examples where describe a picture, men reading a story to a boy, then they are more likely to use a sentence like is the example 3 than one like. Is the rock star sold some cocaine to an undercover agent. The other is the rock star sold the undercover agent some cocaine. The man is reading a story to boy, and the man is reading the boy story. And the end, the 2 examples is the syntax priming appears to involve the syntax structure rather than the actual words in the sentence. So for instance, the primer sentence, the secretary baked a cake for the boss, which it uses a different preposition for. It just ineffective as that in the other example, the secretary took a cake to her boss, which it uses apprehend the use of the sentence and rather than in an example to describe a picture.
Okay, sentence complexity, but because internet problems, I can turn on my webcam, sorry. Okay, it was mentioned earlier that one of the determinants of the sentence frame might be the perspective being taken by the speaker, such as which elements in the message are being placed in focus. So the speaker might choose the passive form the mouse was hunted by the cat to place the mouse in focus. However, there might be a cost associated with using a passive form, because it has been argued that the passive form is syntactically more complex than the active. Index for some time work in psycholinguistics respond to a suggestion from linguistic theory that passive are derived from actives. This syntactical account makes a distinction between underlying or deep structure representation of sentence and the surface structure representations that we actually see on her by Chomsky in 1965. It was argued that surface possessive form is obtained from underlying active-like representation by means of transformation, expressed in a rule such as that in the example 2.14, where NP stands for noun phrase. In the slide, we can see some of others abbreviation for this. Okay, the next slide, please. Okay, thank you. In that grammatical analysis, argued that Kate is the object of the first verb. The verb in the main clause in both sentences argued that in 2.20 in the point 2.15, Kate is the subject of the second verb. In the verb in the subordinating clause, intuitively, it seems reasonably that the sentence in 2.15 and 2.16 are somewhat different. Okay, another notion of complexity takes into account how many additional clauses are used to express notions related to the main idea in the sentence. Multi-clauses sentence consists of a main clause and number of subordinating clauses. For example, in sentence 2.23 has a main clause, the cat haunted the mouse, and one subordinating clause which ran away. The sentence in 2.24 has two subordinating clauses for the same main clause. To determine the level of complexity, we can calculate the subordinated index based on the ratio of subordinated clauses to total clause. So the sentence in 2.24 has higher level of complexity, that is 0.67 than in the sentence 2.23 that have only 0.5. In greater complexity require more planning. Then this might be one factor to determine the amount of pausing in different tasks. Okay, that's all.
Okay. Now we are talking about syntax and speech. We have to know that in syntax and speech, we have a lot of a relationship between syntax and speech, because we have to know that there are similar phrases or similar structure that we have to use in a ambiguity language and the current language, because the book says that when we are using a new language in that way, we have to present a structure of language. For example, in the next slide, okay, here we have that the important to know that any claims about the relationship between syntax and feature of a speech, such as pausing and lengthening, will depend on the details of the theory of syntax being used. Okay, here we have the structure of a sentence that we can see In a sentence, we have the syntactic trees are one form of representing sentence structure. Another is the label bracketing introducing earlier. So instead of using the tree in the same structure can be shown with the same level of detail, but are labeled with a less clarity. For example, we have the sentences with the noun phrase is the spy. The verb phrase is the verb we watched, and the noun phrases is the main, and the prepositional phrase is the with the binocular. Also, in another way, we can say that in the part of noun phrase we can say that the determiner is the and the noun is the man, and that it will change some of things. That's all.
Okay, to end with this explanation about the topics that we have reviewed, I am going to talk about the last two topics, which are the pre-pausal lengthening and the connected speech processes. So let's start. First, we have the pre-pausal lengthening, which is basically a lengthening found before a pause. The term is often also used to refer to lengthening found event in the absence of a pause. It is important to mention that syntactic boundaries are marked by rhythmic breaks, which may or may not include in a physical silence. Second, the connected speech processes, which are changes in the speech sound of words that occur at the end of the production processes as a consequence of the phonetic environment in which the sounds are found. For example, the pronunciation of the consonants T or D, or another example could be the difference that exists when we say a simple sentence and a sentence in the form of a question. The simple sentence is pronounced normally, and unlikely this when we ask a question, we need to stress the last word of the question sentence to imply that this is a question. Okay, that would be all. We really appreciate for your attention, and thank you.